Welcome back for another video. I hope you all had a good Gameweek 10, if not let's hope for a big Gameweek 11. Let's run through how the team's lining up this week and my transfer plans. Starting off with a quick review of how last Gameweek went first. 53 points all out, which was enough for a green arrow, up to 1 mil. I mean, if you'd offered me a green arrow with a Haaland blank and a Salah goal as a non-owner, I would have to take that. Fortunately, Vardy, Johnson, Rodgers, Wood and Cunha all chipped in with returns. That all said, a disaster transfer as it played out. It was 2 shots in 3 game weeks for Solanke, so he left the team ahead of what had potential to be another tough game against Villa, and in came Cunha. It had to be the week Solanke finally showed up with 2 goals and an assist, so well done if you had him. Maddison was dropped to the bench, which did have a clear benefit to Spurs in sense of a better shape, though he might go back to starting both Kulu and Maddison this week given it's an Ipswich fixture. Semenyo goal on the bench, though he was never in consideration to start, given the midfielders and forwards I've got, but I'm glad to see him on the score sheet and avoid a 5th yellow card. So Lewis was benched for Man City and it was Walker back in the 11, so he's become even more of a concern now. Not feeling as confident in his minutes moving forward. Let's get into the team for Gameweek 11 and transfer plans. A quick look at your FPL highs and lows sent in this week. FPL Hofsberger says 29 points on the bench, absolute killer. He had Rodgers, Davies and Semenyo all on the bench who all scored. More bench pain. Netch says, it's fair to say I did not bench the right players this week. He had Solanke and Aina on the bench who combined for 31 points between them. FPL Pilkington says, deciding to be patient with Solanke and Johnson and also Savio. The latter not getting minutes, allowing Johnson to come in. Finished on a huge 77 point game week. Bambi says, Semenyo benched, I sold Solanke, I brought in Raul Jimenez and I sold Rodgers and bought Garnacho. Finished with 25 points last game week. I mean, Garnacho captain was pretty bold in fairness, but yeah, everyone blanked here, very unlucky. The lowest score in the top 10k last game was 18 points, not a single return here either, including 0 pointers from Martinez and Digne, 1 pointers from Aït-Nouri White, Luis Diaz, Havertz and Jackson. Amaya says, not complaining, finished on 82 points, which was a game week rank of 3.4k in the world, absolute dream game week, this must have been an insane green arrow. And lastly Alice says, luck continues. Very inspiring rank gains here, and quite a good reminder of what's possible in a short time if you get it right. Ranked 1.5 million in Game Week 5, now 664th in the world after Game Week 10, just 5 game weeks later. Keep it up. Onto the team for Game Week 11 then. In goal, I've actually got a rare choice to make between 2 keepers here. Fabianski is in the starting 11 currently, given he's got the home fixture to Everton, while Arsenal are away to Chelsea. He hasn't exactly impressed in the last couple of starts over Areola though, so we could see them swap back at any point. Have any of you got the Ryan Fabianski combo? If so, who are you starting? You could also make the case for Fabianski if your second keeper is someone like Hermansen, Martinez, Sanchez or Verbruggen. My backline this week is Vardy, Gabriel and Pedro Porro. So I've dropped Lewis to the bench, so if this is a week where Lewis doesn't start, I really need Porro to finally deliver, as he was basically bought as insurance against Lewis, which so far hasn't yielded any benefit whatsoever with returns of 1, 2, 2 and 1. This was how Man City lined up in the Champions League midweek, a shocking 4-1 defeat to Amarin Sporting in his final home game for them. Lewis started in right back and he did play 90, Vardy, Foden and Haaland also played 90. Spurs topped the clean sheet probabilities this week, given a 42% chance. Man United are in 2nd, Liverpool 3rd, Man City 4th. I don't even think Vardy was immune from Pep Roulette himself, but he's a safer pick than Lewis overall, so I've started him. Pep might favour Walker's pace with these upcoming games, Brighton, Spurs and Liverpool. That all said, I wasn't impressed by Walker last game week. I feel like he had a bad game against Bournemouth. Despite City's defensive woes, Vardy was the 2nd top scoring defender with 49 points. That's more than Johnson, Bowen, Son, Cunha and Havertz. Only Porro's taken more than his 15 shots in fact. So if I can find a way to make it work, I'd like to keep him long term still, though I might need to move some money around in the coming weeks to accommodate Saka, potentially Salah. Gabriel completes the back line, though if there's some team needs of a Lewis start, I will be tempted to give him a start instead and chase the maximum upside given I've got Palmer, otherwise it'd be attacker versus defender. Raya versus Fabianski and Lewis versus Gabriel feels like one that could be a swingy outcome, which I really want to get right this week. An Arsenal clean sheet with Gabriel and Raya on the bench would be brutal, so I could hedge with Gabriel basically. In midfield it's Semenyo, Palmer and Mbeumo and Johnson. Semenyo's back in the team in place of Rodgers, who's got Liverpool this game week. He's taken 42 shots this season at a rate of 4.2 per game, which only Haaland can beat with 48. He's looking like Bournemouth's talisman now after Solanke's departure, and I'm glad I kept hold of him. He rotates really nicely with Rodgers and Wood as well. Semenyo's away to Brentford, who are still yet to give a clean sheet this season, 20 goals conceded, which is 3rd worst behind Wolves and Ipswich. So as an Mbeumo owner, let's hope for a goal fest in this game. He did have a quiet game against Fulham on the weekend. He didn't register a single shot, no chances created. Fulham were all over them, to be honest, and it is a home fixture this week as Brentford look to bounce back with a win. So selling Solanke was a bit of a disaster, and it's an amazing fixture this week as well, though at least I'm still sitting on double Spurs with Porro and Johnson. Tottenham are top for expected goals this season with 20.13, Man City and Liverpool second and third. It's going to be Johnson's last week in the team. He's going to be leaving one way or another in Gameweek 12 before they're away to City, so it'll either be for Salah or Saka. Arsenal are actually way down in 8th for expected goals here, though a few red cards have skewed that a bit, and obviously Ødegaard's been a huge miss. The good news is Ødegaard's back in training, so I'm still very interested in the Arsenal attack. A parting gift from Johnson with one more return would be very welcome this week. All in all, he's been a successful transfer since coming in for Luis Diaz with 2 goals and 4. Can he make it 3 and 5? So Palmer's currently yellow flagged after a poor tackle from Martinez last game around his knee. My initial thoughts were it's just a knock, so I'm expecting him to be fine for Gameweek 11 personally. Chelsea are really going to need him here. They're tied on 18 points of Arsenal, it's 4th versus 5th. Big opportunity here to set 3 points between them. I can't see myself selling him for a long time. He's got to be a very long-term hold with Chelsea's fixtures. He's a very strong shout for the best captain in Gameweek 12, though Salah against Southampton is also a shout. Up front, it's Wood, Cunha and Haaland. I'm going to need a Cunha brace and a Solanke blank to claw back some lost points, so I think I'm going to have to write Cunha off as a bad transfer made slightly too soon with hindsight. Richarlison's picked up an injury again as well, so Solanke's nailed on. He might even get 90 minutes. This is a must-win game for Wolves. They're bottom of the Premier League table, 1 point behind Southampton, and a win could take them straight out of the relegation zone. Just 1.37 projected goals in the Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle fixture. This graphic from 11.05. Can Wood keep his run of goals going though? Only Haaland's got more than his 8 goals scored this season, and Mbeumo's also got 8. I'm weighing up whether Wood could be a sell after that Ipswich fixture when they've got City. In fact, Mbeumo as well, from Gameweek 14 when his fixtures also turn. I think it could be an opportunity to bank the profit on these guys and pivot to some other assets with better fixtures. For example, I could go Mbeumo to Saka in Gameweek 14. And there's the likes of Welbeck, Jackson, Watkins, Isak, all with great upcoming fixtures as a possible Wood replacement later. So that brings me to Haaland then. I'm not feeling comfortable about captaincy this week. Man City are out of form. In fact, they've just lost 3 games on the bounce in all competitions for the first time in 6 years. Injuries to important players and Haaland out of form with 1 goal in his last 5 league games, a missed penalty in the Champions League as well. I very nearly captained Palmer last game week, but in the end both blanked anyway, so no difference there. I've only got 1 free transfer and I just can't bring myself to -4 Haaland out to Salah, although that would have worked out last game week. It also means selling Rodgers and benching Wood or Semenyo. One of the few positives from the Champions League was De Bruyne's return. He came off the bench, and if he's past fit enough to start next game week, that'd be a huge boost to their attack. Those opening 5 game weeks, he's certainly lived up to the 15 mil price tag, but when he's scoring 1 in 5 for over 15 mil, it's such a huge waste of money. And you've got Salah and Palmer putting up more points for cheaper. Over the last 5 game weeks, the craziest part is he's top in the league for non-penalty expected goal involvement with 4.14. Salah's is less than half that. Needs to find his finishing boots. Pep's one of the best in the game at finding solutions to difficult situations. Can he bounce back this week? And more importantly for my team, can Haaland bounce back? On the bench, it's Raya, Lewis, Rodgers and Greaves. So I've got 1.6 mil in the bank, I've got 1 free transfer. I don't think it's worth taking a -4 to sell Haaland for Salah, but that could be a mistake. So the plan as it stands is to roll the transfer. So this will take me to 2 free transfers taken into the international break, and then I'll have the option to buy Salah for Haaland for free instead in Gameweek 12. So to quickly run through Gameweek 12, pulling up Plan FPL, these are the 2 paths I'm considering. The first option in Gameweek 12 is Haaland to Isak and Johnson to Salah. Isak's home to West Ham that week, who obviously have been a really ropey defence, and he's got great long-term fixtures, and he's starting to show some form, so I quite like that route with Isak. I'd have to delay getting Saka till Gameweek 14 though, which should probably be Mbeumo to Saka, and then Vardy down to a 4.6 mil defender like Colwill. The other option for Gameweek 12 is Johnson to Saka, and then completely move off Man City's defence by going Lewis to Vardy and Dunk to Colwill. Now that would be a -4 hit, but it does get me straight to 3 premiums quicker. However, I would be banking on Haaland matching Salah until Gameweek 15, which is when I'd make the switch, such as Haaland to Isak and Mbeumo to Salah. I'm undecided at the moment, but fortunately I've got plenty of time to think it over, so I'm not going to do it this week. I mean, Haaland won't keep blanking forever, things change fast in FPL. Like, if he was to haul against Brighton, then suddenly it's tempting to keep him. And just add Saka to get to 3 premiums in Gameweek 12, and then delay Salah till Gameweek 15. So that's where I'm currently at, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe for more FPL content like this to come before the deadline. See you soon for the next one.